Yes, people, we're back. 12th man's back. Weekend review preview is here. Look, I've got to say, football at the moment is mad. Every few days we're talking about it. I can't actually keep up with what games we have and haven't spoken to. Because I get so many people on this channel, I'm trying to think of the last time I spoke to, man. But someone I haven't spoke to for a while is Specs. Bro, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. How are you, bro?
I'm all right now, man. Especially after that Chelsea game, bit of optimism, bit of hope. I'm good, man. I appreciate you inviting me, brother. Big up to yourself. Big up to the viewers, everyone in the chats, etc. Coming in. Big up to Tom. But yeah, I'm good, bro. Could be worse. How about you?
Come on. Listen, I'm good, man. I like you. We come off the back of a win in the Carabao Cup. Needed that. It was a long time since we'd won. Didn't beat Liverpool or Bournemouth. So it's amazing, isn't it? Like you get some, even if you draw and you don't lose, you're like, it's still the longest away from the last time you could celebrate a win. And it feels like forever now. But it was good to get back with another W. Tom, how are you, mate? Last time we spoke, it was for the preview of Liverpool Arsenal. The whole week has passed since then,
I know.
amazingly. It goes so quick, man. How are you, bro?
I'm good. Through to the next round of the cup. Team is still, smashing it in all competitions. So I got no complaints about my football club. Sky Wi-Fi is a different kettle of fish, but we won't go into that.
Bro, if we did, I think a lot of people in the chat would join us because there's a lot of
If,
people.
if we did, my 15 minutes of time will be up before we got onto the football.
Horrible.
Let's get on to it quickly, man. I want to get into Arsenal, Newcastle in a bit. Manchester United, Chelsea, excuse me, as well is a big one with Amorim coming in. Let's find your thoughts, Tom, from off the back of the Arsenal Liverpool. I don't want to go into it too much because that was last week, right? Obviously, this weekend you've got Brighton again, who you played literally the other night. And things are looking good. I can't lie. Arne Slot has come in and straight away he's got you playing. There's no time needed bedding in. There's none of this stuff. It's all looking pretty rosy as far as Liverpool concerned. I've always thought you had good players. I said on your preview, I thought you had good players and you'd be up for a title race. Whether you'll stay there till May, we don't know. But right now, it's good as far as Liverpool are concerned. You've got Darwin Nunez who's getting involved. You've got Luis Diaz back scoring again. Gakpo scoring again. And that's without Jota and Salah. So in your front line, it's good. Midfield, Gravenberch been one of your best players in that 6. And defensively, you've been sound. I mean, I must say, I obviously, as you know, I went to the game. I go to all the home games. I watched Konate. And my God, what a beast of a monster of a defender. I thought he outshone Van Dijk at the weekend against us. He was absolutely superb. So life as a Liverpool fan right now must be okay, right?
Yeah. It couldn't be going much better. I mean, I'd on the Arsenal game real quick, I'd take the results. The performance wasn't great. I thought for the first half it was very much Arsenal. We had the corner, obviously, and then we grew into it in the second half following a couple of injuries and this, that, or the other. But
It's already started, man. It's already started.
It is already started. I thought we were going to be all right for 5 minutes at least, but it's not even that long, is it? Come out and come back in again, Tom, because it is Sky Wi-Fi. It's driving you insane. It's driving me insane, man. It's all right.
There we go. This is Sky Wi-Fi for you people. I get 10 to 15 minutes and then it cuts out on me because, it's a wonderful institution. But no, take the results. The performance wasn't great. First half, Arsenal were smashing it. Second half, we grew into it as you sort of panicked after Gabriel went off and Timber went off. At this point in the season, you don't necessarily need performances. I think as you move into I'd say after this international break coming up, this is where you kind of need your performances to pick up in that period afterwards. But to start the season, it's all about results. And in terms of results, we're doing very well. We've only lost one, we've drawn one, we've won every game in the Champions League. Midweek, a good win against Brighton. Probably a little bit skewed by the fact that we conceded too late on, but they were very preventable goals, and they shouldn't happen. On the weekend when you got Konate and Van Dijk playing, because the pair of them two have been monstrous at centre back. I think it's just a good time to be a Liverpool fan. There was a lot of nerves and a lot of questions to be asked about Jurgen Klopp going and how long's Arne Slot going to need, and he didn't get any signings this summer, and are Liverpool going to finish outside the top 4 and this, that, or the other. And he's come in and he's hit the ground running, and we knew we had a good squad, but he's getting the most out of this squad that you could do at this point. Nunez is looking like he's got some confidence in him. Diaz and Gakpo providing some really good competition for each other on that left-hand side. The only position you're really looking at so far where you've been and on about the quality has been left back. So maybe we address that in the January, but elsewhere it's been pretty good. And, obviously it's the second game of a double-header against Brighton on the weekend at home instead of away. I think this could be a 3-1, 4-1 type game.
It's hard to
Brighton
predict, Tom, innit, with Brighton. They're the most hardest team to predict. I don't know what
they
get with
play
them.
into our hands. We're still a very good transition team, and I saw what Chelsea done to them. And obviously, Cole Palmer had a blind that day, but Chelsea created a lot of chances against them. And I saw even on Tuesday. Obviously, it was both rotated sides, but we, especially in that second half, we had so many chances, and we could cut through with them. We could cut through them, with ease. And when we're playing the full starting 11, like your McAllister, like your Gravenberch, like your Trent, like your Van Dijk and Canati, who are very good passers of the ball out from the back, you're just going to open yourself up for more opportunities there. And I'll put it, I'll be very disappointed if we make the game close on tomorrow, because we made the game close on Wednesday, which was disappointing because it shouldn't have been. Tomorrow we've got no one. We'll have very few of them players who played midweek playing tomorrow, and the guys who are making the mistakes and the guys who weren't performing well midweek, they definitely won't be playing. So I expect to see the performance level go up again, and the results should come with that. And if they play the same way, obviously they bring back some of their first team players. If they start playing some of their more regular players and try to come out the shell even more, we should kill them even more on transition. So I'm confident going into this game just based on the way I've seen Brighton play against other top teams this season. They give you the space if you can punish them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you boys, Specs and Dan, have made of Liverpool so far this season, because I actually do feel like they could just be one of those sides that just ticks along. And I don't know if I'm speaking for you, Tom, but if I gave you third place and a trophy, I don't think it would be an amazing season. But I don't think you could sit there and say as a first season finally slot that's a shocker.
You take it in your first season. You take it in the first season type thing. It'd be like a consolidation of last year, which with no signings and being the first season, you definitely take. But I think we can go on and do better than that just off the way that we started the season. I think that the City don't look great. Arsenal, there's things going on there which I feel like could come to a head a bit later on in the season. I think the door might open up, and I hope that we're in the position to walk through it if it does.
I hear that. Well, for me, like in terms of, because you hear the narrative of like, it's not like Manchester United where you've been left with a decent team, decent squad, and then people will look at it like, okay, slots coming, and it shouldn't be too hard. But you know what? It's not so easy when you come after a guy like Klopp. That's a lot of pressure. Do you get what I'm saying? And he's come here, probably tweaked a little things, or I think you are how can I put it? Not saying just better defensively, like he wasn't good defensively before, but I think he's stamped his own slight little authority, slight tweaks and changes. And the only interesting thing for me is when he's allowed to actually start spending that purse, bringing in his own kind of players. I know obviously you got sporting directors and etc., and you got to work with them as well. But it'd be interesting when he brings in his own players, because eventually certain players might leave or might go. There's contracts going on, talks and all that. That's a bit interesting in itself and as well. So right now it's all good. Liverpool, are they in the title race? Don't know what Tom thinks. Probably low key they are, but I think Liverpool is doing their thing quietly and getting on with it.
I don't want to say it, but yes, we are.
Hey, it's that kind of vibe. I know what you mean. Low key.
Let us go under the radar. Let it be Arsenal City, and then we'll just kind of worm our way there towards the back end of the season.
At the moment, man, we're the ones behind you, man, by 4 and 5. So it's you and City, man. Leave us alone. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's right. Oh man, boy, I don't know.
What are you telling me, Dan?
I think Liverpool have been a real sort of breath of fresh air. I don't think I expected it, to be honest. When they were getting rid of Klopp, I don't think I saw this sort of run of results and defensive solidarity that they've sort of reintroduced be part of their season, to be honest with you. So I think that's really good, and I think that will continue, because I think Arne Slot is proven to be a really clued up guy. Like the way he speaks is just so intelligent. I think as a guy that's coming as a project manager, it's incredibly good to see how well he's doing. However, I don't want to see Liverpool being that high up the table, but they are. I think with Arsenal and Manchester City, I don't actually think they've really got going yet. And I think that's sort of playing into Liverpool's hands because all the talk is about the failure of those two sides or the issues that those two sides have got, even though they haven't really been that bad. But I think they've been so good in the previous 2 seasons that a lot of talk has been on them. And I think that's why people's eye isn't really catching Liverpool at the moment. They're top of the league and they're actually sort of being able to go about their business pretty quietly, considering most of the teams at the top of the league are the ones that are under pressure. You know, it's normally the teams that are in third that people don't really keep an eye on, and then they sneak up out of nowhere. So, yeah, look, I think that's playing into Liverpool's hand. I don't think the pressure is on them right now to be guaranteed to win the title, but with the way they've started the season, why shouldn't it be, to be honest with you?
Look, I think this title race this season, right, is massively, massively going to sway on January. And I truly believe that all 3 teams could spend in January. Liverpool are linked with left backs and defensive midfielders. Arsenal are linked with strikers and attacking wingers. Man City are linked with Zubimendi and Gyökeres. I mean, if they get them two. My God, this like game over. Do you know what I mean already? But for me, I'd honestly believe it could sway it that much because January people think is actually quite far into the season. There's still a lot of football to play after that. So for me, I think it could be swayed into that, man. But before we get to Arsenal Newcastle, I want to move quickly down to Man United Chelsea. It's probably the weirdest time to play Manchester United now. Ten Hag's gone. Ruud van Nistelrooy's in. Amorim has been appointed today. He's taken over after the next international break, I believe. So there's 2 more games for Ruud to take over. They smashed Leicester midweek as a bit of a new manager bounce, even though it's not really a new manager bounce, but it kind of is. New interim manager bounce, I suppose you could call it. Probably the weirdest time to play him. Would you say it's the worst time to play Man United? Or what are you expecting, brother?
Yeah, it probably is the worst time to play him, to be honest with you. That removal of Ten Hag has thrown so much uncertainty into this fixture, to be honest, because I think the writing was on the wall for Man United going into this against this Chelsea side. That Manchester United under Ten Hag would have absolutely played into our hands, I think, and it probably would have been a whitewash, to be honest with you. I think Chelsea could have scored a lot of goals. However, Manchester United looked like a team, I'm not going to say reinvented under Ruud, but it looked like maybe the shackles had come off and some players suddenly felt like they wanted to play for the guy that was in the dugout, whereas I don't think they have for a long time under Ten Hag. And I think this all the game against Leicester did for me was kind of just remind me that actually there is a little bit of quality in this Manchester United side. You know, last year they scored 4 goals against us, won 1 game. We scored 6 against them and won another. So I think there'll be goals in this tie. My only sort of worry with Amorim now being confirmed is that Ruud is no longer auditioning for the job. So will he just be all about getting the 3 points? He's not got to put a style of football on show. He's just got to try and navigate this fixture. And I think he'll make it incredibly tough for Chelsea. And we've seen when a game is made tough for Chelsea, they're the games that we struggle to win. And that's my worry and concern. But I do think going forward, we've got enough to still cause United trouble.
Yeah, what are you telling me about these fixture specs? Man United, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Chelsea. I know they come off the back of a loss against you midweek, but they've still got quality, and I think the team's going to be very different. What are you saying?
Yeah, man, no doubt Chelsea's got quality, man. To be honest with you, Ruud or no Ruud or all this Amorim business, which I think will just be the same thing as Ten Hag eventually, but that's another time anyway. But I think Chelsea will go there and just deal with the matter, get the 3 points. Not saying they're going to batter them. I think Man United will get goals as well, all depending on who Chelsea put in that back. Jeez, man, just don't put Brady Shaw, or whoever, any of those guys, those Monaco twins, whatever you want to call them. Don't put them in that back line because there'd be problems. But I think Chelsea will deal with the matter, to be honest with you. And the whole Amorim thing for me, like
Now talk on that, man. What are you saying? Talk on that.
Like the whole Amorim I just heard all this shit before, bro. To get me, when it was Eric Ten Hag coming in, everyone was getting gas. It was the same energy, bro. It was the exact same energy. And of course, you need to have optimism in it. Obviously, especially if you support the team, you get me have hope. They say the system he plays, etc., etc. Boy, bruv, the Portuguese league and the Premier League is a complete different kettle of fish. That's the first thing. Even just the little side things like dealing with our crazy, mad, devilish British media. The guy hasn't even barely come in yet, and they'll get on to him already. You get what I'm saying? So he's got a rude awakening. No pun intended. But yeah, man. Like, but he's a bright manager though. Don't get it twisted. Like, coach, what we've seen, and I'm sure under Jose Mourinho, he was at Old Trafford. He was under his some kind of coaching scheme. So he's done his bits. Like, he's putting his graft. But I just think that people are getting a bit too hype. You get what I'm saying? But again, Man United fans have been going through hell in it for their standards, in it. So we will see. We will see. But I can just feel it in a matter of time. They'll start dealing with Eric Ten Hag the same way as Amorim. But we will see.
We will see, man. Look, I think Ruben Amorim is a fair appointment. Personally, I don't believe that he is going to just come in and start winning, because I don't think Man United have got the team to win, right? But I will say this. I think if they can actually get his beliefs and the way that he plays, three at the back, wing backs, implemented with the structure that's come into place at Manchester United, with the money that they spend, there's no reason they can't put himself up the table. Deji made a joke the other day and said, I reckon they could get into the top half with Amorim. We all know what Deji's about, right? But actually, what made me laugh was, look, this can't get any worse. Man United are 14th, man. It can't get much worse. So, look, I think Chelsea will win the game because I feel like their attack will be too much for their defense. That's simple. I just think it will be. But it ain't going to be easy. Like, I think going to Old Trafford, people think now, it's not like the same it used to be. You go there and you win and take 3 points. You don't always. Like, it can have these stupid things happen, like last season against Liverpool. I hope, personally, it's a really good game of football and that we can sit there and enjoy it. But you never quite know. As a Chelsea fan, which Dan is, I'm sure he's not sitting there expecting 4 or 5-0 against Manchester United now.
No, do you know what? I probably was a little bit when Ten Hag was going to be the gaffer. I just think with this Amorim appointment, right, is that, and I know a few people are starting to raise this, if Ruud van Nistelrooy has a great little spell in charge of like 4 games and does well, if Amorim doesn't hit the ground running, that's going to cause such unnecessary sort of debate for Manchester United fans and questions on the board, because there'll be fans questioning why they didn't just give it to Ruud, in the same sense that Ollie got the job and a legend of the club. And I just think Manchester United should have just said, look, we'll give it to Ruud to the end of the season and then we'll get Amorim in at the end of the summer. Amorim could have had another season at Sporting. He said to the Sporting fans, by the way, I want to win this trophy. I want to win another one in a row. So he's made them a promise he now won't be able to fulfill. And I think with Amorim, he's sort of been waiting for this chance to come to get an opportunity in a bigger league. He was this close, apparently, to going to West Ham in the summer. And then West Ham pulled out for financial reasons. And I think it was something to do with him having a lack of experience at bigger clubs. And then ultimately, he's now probably had become favourite to be the next Manchester City boss, with Viana going there. And then ultimately, Manchester United have sort of jumped the gun, and he's obviously gone there. And I think he's gambling, because I just think we don't know what Manchester United are about at the moment. Like, they've got some good players, but there's a mess there. We don't know what the owner's about. We don't know what he's done in terms of mess things up in terms of inside Manchester United. I know it's not been smooth, but to remove Fergie, to start trying to get players on private jets of Manchester City, it's just things that isn't Manchester United, And I just think Amorim is gambling here that this is going to be the Manchester United of old and what everyone sees Manchester United being. But look, I think Ratcliffe has got a lot of work to do to just get Manchester United back on the map of where they should be, ultimately, because of the Glazers, where the Glazers have allowed them to go to.
Well, for me, see the Amorim, it's mad. Me personally, I thought they should have gave it to Ruud, wait to the end of the season and start off afresh. But at the same time, unless there's an understanding between Amorim, the fans, the board, to say, look, I will come in now and slowly start implementing what I want, have a feel for what's going on. But there has to be an acceptance that it might be still rubbish results for the next 2, 3, 4, possibly. Like, there's got to be an understanding with the fans that this ain't no overnight thing. And I'm sure they're not naive enough to know it's not going to be an overnight thing, because it is a mess. The attitude from the top, everything is still, you get what I'm saying? So there's an understanding. Like, me personally, if I was him, I wouldn't come in right now. You know what I'm saying? And he's doing quite decent at Sporting at this moment in time, this season.
Very well.
So it's kind of like, it's a bit weird, isn't it? But Man United come calling out, they're a big club, and obviously most of these guys, they back themselves, so I get it. There's a bit of an ego thing there, and you need some of that. So the fans just got to be patient and just know this ain't no. You get me? Don't be upset if you don't get the so-called manager bounce. As
Do you
Dan
think?
said,
Do you
the guy-
think Manchester United have like set a dangerous precedent though? Because they've basically said, look, it doesn't matter if you win trophies at Manchester United. That ain't the most important thing anymore. Because Ten Hag's won them trophies, and I know a lot of the fans that were still sort of Ten Hag in were sort of remaining pretty quiet, and they weren't exactly protesting for him not to go because they weren't happy with where they were. But Manchester United were winning trophies like they should have been doing, and we can all see that under Ten Hag the football was drastically bad. There was no style of play, but Manchester United have basically said we'd rather a style of play than win trophies. And that for me is just complete opposite to what Manchester United as a club have been built on. Because don't get me wrong, their football was never as bad as Ten Hag's, but we all know that Fergie weren't exactly about a style of play. It was about getting enough results to keep winning trophies.
I hear that. I kind of hear it's a boy. Well, then again, well, you could say hopefully if he for Man United fans, if he gets a style of play and the owners get an actual consistent structure and idea of what he's about or he's trying to build, maybe with the style of play, then trophies will still come. You get what I'm saying? Because when you really deep it, Man United they got some decent players, man. Let's keep it real, innit? Like, and it's blasphemous where they are in the league right now. They should definitely be doing much better with those players they've got and with what they spent. I wish Newcastle could spend like that, but due to FFP and PSR, we won't get into that right now. But yeah, man. So there's no excuse. So yeah, it is what it is, though. But I ain't bothered.
Look, man,
It's Man United.
trophies are massive in football
Definitely.
because that's how you measure it, right? But you need to be challenging and winning trophies. I think that is the difference because clearly, if you're winning trophies and you're no disrespect, specs, you're Newcastle, or you're starving of some silverware like Everton, or you're starving of silverware like Brentford, or something like that. You win those trophies, you're like, whoa, hail the manager, right? But when you're Manchester United, you should be winning trophies every single season. That size of the club, and you should be challenging. They should be disappointed that they only won the FA Cup that year and they only won the Carabao Cup. That's the difference here, right?
Yeah.
So when I look at what Arsenal were doing this season, if we challenge Manchester City all the way and we don't win it, I'll be very disappointed, right? But if we win an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup or both, or we go and win a Champions League, then we're challenging and we're winning. And that's the difference between Ten Hag and Mikel Arteta. At the moment, Mikel Arteta hasn't even done that other than an FA Cup he won in his first year, right? So we need to get across the line. But for me, I think we need to be doing both, man. That's what we need to be doing. Look, I'll say this about Manchester United. I don't think there's anything that could stop them if they get this right for them challenging in the next 2 seasons. And I'll tell you why. They've got the money. They've got the structure. They've got the global fan base. They've got the heritage. They've got the club. They've got the fan base. They just need now the structure and the manager to work together to get the recruitment right. Now, they're going to spend money because they've spent more money than anybody. They've actually spent more money than Manchester United, Manchester City, right, and Arsenal and all these other clubs, right? I think there's only Chelsea that have outspent them, and that's because of what's happening since Bodie's come in, right? So when you look at it, you think, yeah, Manchester United have got everything they want. If I said to you now, boys, I've got this club, it's got an unbelievable amount of money. We've got a brilliant stadium that's like 70,000 plus. Yeah, it needs a little bit of TLC, but we can work alongside that. Yeah. We've got a great fan base, great global fan base. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. We've got a new structure of footballing men, Barada, Ashworth, Wilcox, the works. Now we just need to appoint someone that knows how to get a style of football, and we're going to provide him with the funds and the players to be successful. What out of those have they not got? They've got everything there now. So they should now start to deliver. We shouldn't be talking about Manchester United in 3-4 times going, how when they're going to get back up to fighting with Man City. If it ain't that, it is clearly Amorim hasn't worked. So they have to go and look for another manager. But for me, I think they've got everything now that they need to go and be successful. It's going to take a couple of years because it needs at least 4 transfer windows. I agree with Specs. They've got some good players, but let's be real. If you were doing a combined 11 with City, Liverpool, Arsenal and United, you ain't putting many United players in there, right? So as much as they've got some good players, they're going to need to get better than what they've got, right? So I can see them doing well in the next couple of years if they stick with their kind of ruthlessness and believe that if Amorim's the guy, cool. If they don't, they need to replace him. But they've got everything that they need now to get to the top. So let's see what happens there, man. As for the game, look, Chelsea for me are the better 11. I had a debate with Terry and LB and on the terrace about this, and Terry was sort of believing that there weren't much between United and Chelsea. I disagree, man. I think Chelsea are a lot better than Man United, like in terms of like the 11. I think other than the goalkeeper, I think Manchester United struggle to get many players into the Chelsea 11.
Probably get
if
a
I'm honest.
centre back in. I think they might get Delit.
Yeah.
Maybe Delit.
And then
Maybe
other than
Delit.
that, we're reaching, I think, with anyone else.
I agree. I mean, Z's in the chat. Z, big up Z. Z bigs up his club more than anybody I know. He backs his club more than anyone I know, right? Big Man United. But I think if I'm picking a combined 11, I'm struggling after Onana because Kobe Minu doesn't even get in ahead of Lavia, Caicedo, and Palmer for me. So I'm struggling now to put any of the others in. Maybe Delit alongside, I don't know,
Levi,
Fofana or
Colwell,
Colwell,
Yeah.
yeah. So your fullbacks get in. Fofana and Gusto and James and
James,
Cucurella.
Yeah.
I think in midfield, like I said, I'd go for that trio. I'm definitely putting Sancho and Neto and these players in, you know, ahead of Rashford and like who is it?
Bruno.
Garnacho, I suppose.
Oh,
Bruno doesn't get in ahead of
Doesn't get in.
Palmer. And then up top, I suppose, without being funny, I've definitely not been his biggest fan, but you're probably going to have to put Jackson in ahead of Hoyland and Xerxes
Yeah.
because he's scoring goals. So, like, it's
of course.
it's hard now for Man United to actually come back at that. I think I genuinely believe it's difficult for any Man United fan to seriously believe they're talking and telling the truth when they say that 4 or 5 their players get into the Chelsea 11. I think it's bullshit. I mean,
Is that
I do.
wow?
Like,
That's crazy.
they're all average, right? So, yeah, look, I that's why I see Chelsea winning. I think they'll outclass them at the weekend. I do. So look, let's get some predictions on this game, man. I'm gonna go with 3-1 Chelsea. What are you saying, Specs?
Raw. Boy, considering what's happened, I think maybe Manchester United players will feel more freely just to go about their business. That could be a gift or a curse, but I don't think it's going to be a crazy score. And I think Chelsea will squeeze it, maybe 2-1.
Yeah, I'm at 2-1 as well. I think Chelsea have the ability to score even more, but I think this Manchester United team might be a little bit more resolute than they were under Ten Hag, to be honest. So, yeah, it'll be tough, but I think if Manchester United get opened up, I think then the goals could start to flow for Chelsea.
I think Palmer will turn up and I think he'll deliver, man. Look, I mean, Z makes a good point. Why haven't they outclassed us for the last 11 years then, Potts, if they are so much better? That's because it's at Old Trafford, I guess he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's a difficult place to go, man. That's why. But I just feel like Chelsea have got the better. I feel like they've got the better going forward, and I'm not so sure I trust Man United defensively. But look, I could be eating my words. Man United could beat you. Could be a draw. If I'm honest, without sounding big-headed, I don't care much for this game like I would normally because I'm looking down on these two. So it doesn't really bother me who wins this game or if it's a draw. And that sounds big-headed, but I'm in a position where I can be big-headed at the moment, right? Because we're ahead of you. So
no, it's true though, Dan. Like we're two teams that used to bother you a lot, but at this moment in time, we're not able to close the gap. Someone's made a point in the chat saying United are at their lowest point. If United win this game against Chelsea, they are only 3 points off of Chelsea. So considering like how bad Manchester United's season has been and how good Chelsea's has been, I mean, Chelsea have slipped up a little bit this season. That this game could literally come down to being 3 points separate into. However, if Chelsea win, I think there's a 9-point gap. So it's almost like an early season.
It is an early season 6 point, I think, between the two clubs. But I mean, let's be real. Chelsea aren't even that far behind us. So I say when I'm looking down, it ain't looking down by much. But I genuinely believe by the time we get to around about February, March time, I don't think we will be close to Chelsea. And if we are, then something's gone wrong with us.
I think what it does show is that if Manchester United have got it right and because they've acted early and they do start getting results, it means that their season isn't as over as we all thought it might have been.
Facts. And look, there's still enough time to save this, which is why I believe it was good to get rid of Ten Hag now to try and save this season, but it was stupid to keep him in charge anyway because they might as well have just got rid of him in pre-season. They wasted a lot of money. and time, in my opinion, because who's to say that Amorim couldn't have been got to start with, and then they start the season on a high with a pre-season with a summer that he wants. They go free.
They definitely could have got him in the summer if they'd have tried.
They
Because
really
like I was saying, he nearly went West Ham.
literally.
And they could have right, like implemented this three at the back style, which I actually think would suit Manchester United, by the way, a lot more, a hell of a lot sooner. And they've got, when everyone's fit, Lisandro, De Ligt, and Yoro, with Mazraoui and Luke Shaw if he's fit, or Dallo or whatever, Malacia. I think that suits better. You've got Ugarte and Kobe Mainu, Bruno ahead, and then one of Rashford and Højlund or Xerxes, right? So I think you've got an opportunity to actually do something there. But look, it's going to take some time, that's for sure. I think this will be a good game of football. Two teams that always like coming up against each other. That always have a bit of banter against each other. So I'm looking forward to that one, man. Let's move to Arsenal and Newcastle at St. James's Park. We all knew about this fixture last year. Arteta went mental with the refs. He got fined. He said it was disgracia. It's a fixture that I've always kind of looked forward to because I love Newcastle. I love going to the ground. I'm not going this year. It's the same fixture as last year, timing wise, because it was my birthday weekend that got ruined last year when we lost. So hopefully it don't get ruined this year if we don't win. But I will say this: Newcastle beating Chelsea has given them a little bit of a confidence boost. It looks as if the front sort of line is back now with Isak firing. They've got Gordon, they've got Barnes. Joe Linton's been playing well off that left as well. You've got Tonali and Joe Linton and Bruno that can go in midfield. Joe Willock could be available. And then obviously at the back, you've got good players back now as well. So, Specs, what are you telling me, bruv, about this game?
Back's a bit iffy still. I'm not too overhyped with the back. All I do know is, look, after the Chelsea game, Chelsea played not well at all. Do you get what I'm saying? Let's keep it real. But I don't want to hear about this B team. I keep hearing this B team business, bro. There's no, compared to our whole squad, that's still some good players you got in that pitch. Do you get what I'm saying? But we beat you. Got a clean sheet. But in terms of the Arsenal game, for me, the players we started against Chelsea, I like to see, bar maybe Longstaff, bring Bruno Guimaraes back in because he didn't start. But having Kelly at centre back for me, that makes for pace. Some people will say Dan Burns, Arsenal's got a massive aerial threat. We all know about that. Their set pieces, got a set piece coach and all that. But most of the games played on the ground. So for me, Lloyd Kelly, he's usually a left back, but he can play as a centre back. I think for pace, haven't seen the fastest, but you got 3 plays up front. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think Kelly and Shea have to start at the back for me with Hall and Tino and Willock. It's going to be a tricky one because what does he do? You got Anthony Gordon. He prefers to play on the left. Will he be shifted on the right again? Will Eddie Howe keep Joe Linton on that left-hand side up front where he's coercing play with Joe Willock, which I thought was fantastic. So Eddie Howe's going to have a bit of a headache. Knowing Eddie, probably bring Dan Burns back in. No disrespect to Dan Burns. He plays for the shirt. He's a local lad and all that. But technically and his agility, he just looks... I'll be stunned to see Dan Burns start against Arsenal. I think
there's a time and a place for him, isn't there, Specs, Dan Burn, I think.
Yeah, the Dan Burns is cool though. Like when it comes to aerial threats and that, like obviously, you get what I'm saying. And recently of time, when our fullbacks bombed forward, quite a few times we needed our centre backs to cover. So when we played in the first game against Chelsea in the league at Stamford Bridge, a few times we got caught out. Tino got caught out a few times out of position. Fabian Schär was awful. Trying to do them last minute challenges. He missed the ball. There you go. And then you saw Dan Burns was still trying to get back. And the strikers already at the front waiting for the ball just to tap it in. To get shit like that, bro. Do you get what I'm saying? So playing Arsenal, they're no joke, bro. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so they're playing for something. They're pushing for something. But we're at home. And the crowd will be up for it. It's an early kickoff. I would have preferred the game under the lights. Do you get what I'm saying? But it's an early kickoff, and I'm not going to sit here and be a troll and say, yeah, man, we're going to bust up Arsenal and rare. But I don't see why we can't get a draw. Maybe squeeze a little 3 points. I think there's going to be a lot of controversy in this game anyway. I think it's going to be nasty a bit, depending what mood all the players are in, because it is early, and what mood the fans are in, because it's early. That will play a part as well. But I think there's going to be some cards in this game. I think Bruno, if he starts, he's going to try and get under a few players' skin. Joe Linton could be a nasty, aggressive affair. Tonali needs to stay in that number 6 role because I think he done very well there against Chelsea. As I said, Chelsea didn't play great. Arsenal are different kettle of fish. Let's not get it twisted. But I just feel like that lineup, maybe take Longstaff out, bring Bruno in. He's our captain. And Isak, he's going to be up for it, man. It could be an audition. Not that he needs to, but it could be an audition where Isak's up for it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know what Potts is saying, but you tell me, bro.
Yeah, man.
Big up to BBK. What are you telling me, Potts?
Yeah, big up to BBK as well, man, for the super chat. Big up Specs and crew. Big up to you, man. What am I saying? Okay, on the Newcastle lineup, I agree with you. I think Newcastle fans want to see Kelly because on the ball he's more comfortable than Dan Burn. But I can understand why Eddie Howe would stick with Dan Burn because of the set piece threat that we have, right? Not Lewis. What's his name? Your left back. Is it Lewis?
Lewis Hall. Yeah, Lewis Hall.
Lewis Hall. That's him. I always call him Lewis, but it's Lewis Hall, isn't it? Lewis Hall. He is doing well, mate. He's doing very well, and I think he's knocking on the door for the England left back situation.
At some point, yeah, it's bait. Yeah,
real talk. Like we are shocking at left back. We got nobody, have we? I'm a big fan of him. Obviously, Livramento, I think, is definitely probably the biggest compliment is you don't really miss Trippier. I mean, a lot of people might say you do because he's a bit of top talent, but I think Livramento is a really good fullback. Obviously, Cher, I've always thought was underrated. Pope back in goals, massive for you ahead of the Bravcar. Your midfield is an interesting one for me because I felt like it beat ours up a bit last season. I think Jorginho and Erdegaard got a little bit bullied by the likes of Joe Linton, Bruno G. And at the time, we had Jorginho in there as well. Kai Havertz in there, like trying to do a nasty one on Joe Linton.
Yeah.
You had Bruno Guimaraes elbowing Jorginho in the head. It was like getting nasty, man. I was like, wow, this midfield is mad. Like,
it was a nasty game. That was a nasty game. Like, there should have been like 6 sending offs, bro. I don't know how Bruno got away with that one.
Yeah, man. Like Kai Havertz was at it, like Bruno at it, and then I was like, okay, it's one of these games. So I think this time our midfield will probably be more like Party Rice, Mourinho's in there. Obviously, Trossard or Nwaneri will be in there. The one you could get at because Erdegaard's not going to make it. So I think we'll definitely toughen up on midfield. But I agree with you. Tonali needs to be the 6 now, and Bruno needs to be the 8 now for me. Yeah, and then you obviously have Joe Linton, or if you want to go Joe Linton left and Willock in there, obviously a bit of creativity. You've got Gordon and Isak. Isak's on fire. What do I make of audition time? I hope so, bro. I'd love him to audition for Arsenal. I love him. You know he's my number one, right? That's the one I want in the summer. I don't think we'll get him in January. I think Isak and Newcastle, it all depends on where you finish. If you get Champions League, if you get even Europe, he might be kind of tempted. You come outside of that top 6, I'm not sure Isak wants to stay much longer at 24.
I heard that. Well, he's got a 4-year contract. That's the first thing. So either way, we wouldn't let him go so easy. Do you get what I'm saying? I think trying to finish or qualify for Europe somehow is a big factor. Do you get what I'm saying? Because that's when you start giving the big players excuses to be like, yo, let's keep it real. Isak is a Champions League player. And it's only so long. Football's a short career. You get what I'm saying? It's only so long.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So obviously, I don't like talking about this, but reality is reality. But just going back to what you said Marino, Rice, and Partey. What are you telling me? That's the midfield you want? Depending on the formation.
It will be one of Marino or Partey. It'll be definitely Rice. It won't be them 3 again like it was at Bournemouth. That was a disaster, bro. It will be Trossard or I hope Nwaneri in that 10. But I think
I think Nwaneri. He should. He's pushing. I'll take a season. You get what I'm saying? But obviously, I heard some Arsenal fans are a bit like, when he's starting for that Bournemouth game or whatever, or threw him under the bus when he put him on, which was crazy. When he put him on against Bournemouth, I didn't see the point in that. That's unreal, crazy. Man. It's a youngster, isn't it? But man. In terms of Nick Pope, me and Nick Pope have beef every week. Like it's hot and cold. It's love and hate relationship on my live watch-alongs. But he's a great shot stopper. Do you feel me? But boy, it all depends. I thought
you were gonna get that Mamardashvili, but he's gone to Liverpool now, man.
Yeah, he's at Liverpool, and Pope's cool. Do you get what I'm saying? I just don't like when he's supposed to punch the ball, or his decisions for me are backwards, isn't it? And then he comes out, he's awful with the ball. Obviously, that's not his game, but he's awful. You get what I'm saying? I'm sure he can do better than that when he's kicking the ball or certain decisions he makes. But overall, one of the greatest shot stoppers you're going to see. Facts. So even having a moan at him in live watch-alongs, I'd be like, oh damn, that was a Hollywood save. Like, how did he get to that? How did he get a strong wrist to that? So it's like taking a rough with it, taking rough with the smooth. It is what it is. But yeah, man, Dan Burns, you see about the whole aerial thing and he might stick with him. I just think you can say that, but most of the games on the football's on the ground. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, unless Arsenal to change their whole game and start going home and doing long balls, which some Bolton thing, that's not gonna happen. So I just feel like
Do you think the Newcastle? I did a show with Pete last night and Warren Barton, and I was on this channel, and I said, for me, like I throw two names at them, Eze and Buemu. If Newcastle were to look at those sort of players, I think that's your next level now. I think like you clearly need a right winger because you're playing Barnes and Gordon, who are really two left wingers. Like you got Joe Linton playing out left now as well. At times, I'm like, what's happening here? Like, so for me, you need a right winger, and I think a creative midfielder. I think a centre back's needed because obviously if Sven Botman's got these injury problems, then perhaps you need somebody else in there. But other than that, I think Newcastle pretty much there. I do think you need another goalkeeper. I think it will come because I think now that you get over this FFP and PSR stuff, you'll be all right. Then you can start spending again. But Newcastle ain't miles away from the pack, if I'm honest with you, bro. I think they're there or thereabouts already. Do you know what I mean?
And that's the frustration. That's the frustrating thing, innit? Because who knows what really goes on behind the scenes? You got the whole PSR, all man want to talk about is football and who we're buying and who we're selling. You get what I'm saying? So you got all this going on, all this financial stuff. That's not in my league. That's not my realm. You get what I'm saying? But definitely need some right wingers. Didn't understand he was doing all this Mark Gurhey business. I understand you just centre back, just another extra one because obviously, like I said, Botman. I think after January he'll be slowly coming back in the fold. But it's crazy. It's like an imbalance. You got Barnes, you got Gordon, Murphy. He's average at best, but he plays for the shirt. He's a Newcastle fan himself. Miggy Almiron tried to root for him when we played Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I thought, nah, like it's a wrap in it. Do you get what I'm saying? And you can talk. Look, we tried to get Alanga in the last minute for 50 mil. Like, I don't know what was going on between Mitchell and Eddie. Some power struggle going on there, but it was a red flag. It was horrible. And Mark Gay, ain't no 75, 65 for me. Just my personal opinion. Like F that. So yeah. So like you said, I don't think we're too far off. It's just how quick can we start building on top of what we've got already before it's too late and certain man start trying to force out a leave. You know what I'm saying? Tonali, Bruno's, the Isaacs, even the Gordons. Yeah, he signed a contract, but bruv, Newcastle, man, we got it's gonna be interesting.
So let me ask you a question before I bring Dan in, right? You can have two options here. You finish 4th or 5th if 5th gets you Champions League, because this season apparently 5th will. Or you can win an FA Cup and come 7th or 8th.
Ain't 7th still a European spot though, potentially?
Conference League, I think.
Yeah.
So
we qualified for that, but Man United won the FA Cup and took it from us. But anyway.
That's right. So basically, I'm asking trophy or top 4 is what I'm asking. Seeing as you haven't won a trophy for, what's it, over 50 years now?
Yeah, I've had this question before, you know, Dan, and most people that get this question presented to you, they're more like, must be a trophy because it feels good and all that and blah, blah. I think I'll push for a FA Cup, man.
Yeah,
if we could finish 7th, FA Cup, yeah, because got to start getting the ball rolling, man. Because trophies is what it's all about, innit? No one remembers when you finish your 4th or 5th. In years and years to come, no one remembering when Newcastle, we will remember when we qualified for it recently, but no one ain't remembering that. You get what I'm saying? You want to put your name down in history. You want to see your name engraved on that. Get what I'm saying? FA Cup, even a bloody League Cup, bruv. I don't give a shit what it is, bro.
Of course, any cup,
people
man.
Diss the League Cup. I heard people say it's dusty. Yeah, I heard certain Chelsea fans and certain Spurs fans say, "Oh, that's a dust." Oh, not Spurs for Deji, to be precise. Oh, that's a dusty cup, and I'm like, so what the hell are we in this whole football thing for, bro? now think about it, bro. When people chat shit and say, "Oh, dusty," oh, not really concentrating on that. You know what I mean? You're bigger fish to fry. No, bro. If you're in all competitions, you try and go for it. You get me? I heard certain even Arsenal fans or certain man am I going pods with are like, nah, you get me? Some, not all of them. Some are like, nah, pushing for the title. But I'm just like, right now as it stands, as you said, Dan, I think you got to be pushing for everything, cups and the Premier League.
Of course, man.
Whether you got a squad for it or not, I think your bench is a bit. Like I think you made a couple of 2 bloopers within the transfer windows in selling and buying, but Yeah, man. Like, what you in it for, bro? Like, bro, I've not seen Newcastle win a major trophy in my life. Last time was the Fairs Cup. It didn't call Fairs Cup no more. 1969, bro. 1969.
Yeah,
I was
bro, we
still in
won
my
that.
daddy's ball,
We won that in
brother.
the 70s as well.
Bro,
Fair
I
Cup.
don't, bruv, like all these, it's all old school. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the last time Newcastle won a trophy, I was still in my daddy's ball bag swimming, bro. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
So
Bro, what's
it's
mad,
peak
yeah,
right
is
here.
you've actually been in finals. It's just not been able to get that silverware.
Oh, many, but I've seen, bro, I've been heartbroken. When I actually was, I still believe in Newcastle, love Newcastle, but when you're a younger kid, like 12, 11, I remember like getting back-to-back finals. The first one was against Arsenal. They went, you want to double that season. You lost in the final. Do you get what I'm saying? Got to Wembley again. Manchester United won a treble that season. Lost the FA Cup final, bruv. So yeah, it's just so yeah, but it is taking it is getting out of hand though. Newcastle, it's been a very long time. Let's keep it real. Even Everton won the cups in '95 or whatever. Or so you know what I'm saying. So
Mm.
yeah, for Newcastle to look back to 1969 is crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's too long, man. Dan, talk to me about this weekend's game, man. Arsenal, difficult game at St. James's. Newcastle coming up against an Arsenal that has now got its players back pretty much, other than Odegaard still. What are you telling me, bruv? Oh, what was that?
Yeah, mate. Like it's gonna be a really interesting one because I think we saw last season like this game can have a bit about it, and I think in years gone by, Newcastle Arsenal's always been one of them fixtures. I mean, I think back to that 4-4, like back in like 2010. It's had some cracking games, isn't it? So I'm looking forward to it. I think Arsenal will have enough. I think Newcastle haven't been great. I think Isak, you spoke about how much you want him at Arsenal. I don't think we've seen him get up to his level yet this season. I don't think he's got many goals at all, actually. And I just think Newcastle, I felt when we played them, they obviously made the game very difficult, but I didn't ever feel like we wouldn't win the game. Where midweek was a different story. But yeah, I just think Arsenal have got more than Chelsea in that department, and I think Arsenal will be absolutely fine. I think Odegaard is obviously a huge miss, but now most of your players are coming back that will get you through the majority of ties in the Prem. And look, I think Newcastle United, by the way, have to, if they're even having a discussion about winning the trophy or top four, it's crazy. It's a trophy all day. Newcastle, for the size of the club, really haven't won enough trophies, to be honest with you. And I think that Sunderland having more trophies actually bugs them a little bit. So I definitely think they'd have to add a trophy to their collection. But yeah, in terms of the game, I don't see Arsenal struggling. I think it could be tough, but I think Arsenal have enough. But don't get me wrong, a trip up to St James's Park is definitely not one to write off, as we found out midweek. It can be incredibly difficult to navigate.
Yeah. Look, man, before we wrap, let's go through some of the features. Let's get the predictions for this game first, and then we'll quickly get your guys' thoughts for the other games this weekend before we come to a close. Carl Specs, talk to me. What's the scoreline going to be, bro?
Like I said in the previous pod, I said I think there's going to be controversy in this game, and I think I can feel. I could be deluded. I'll be crying come tomorrow late afternoon, but I just feel like could be a surprise, a controversial, whatever, whether it's VAR, whatever it is. I think Newcastle could squeeze a 2-1. Why not?
I'm going to go 1-0 to the Arsenal. Dan,
all right.
what are you telling me?
Yeah, I think Arsenal. I think Arsenal get 2 or 3, mate. To be honest with you, I'm going to say 3-1 Arsenal.
Jesus.
Do you know what it is, Dan? Right. I'm waiting for Arsenal to like ignite. I feel like it's just like I just feel there's so much more to this Arsenal team. I just want to see it, and I think you just need to right some wrongs that have kind of happened this season, and just sort of remind everyone of where Arsenal are at and where they've been for the last couple of seasons. Because I still think this title race has got a long way to go, to be honest with you.
No, it has. It really has. There's too much to play. Look, me and Dan are going to wrap up with these Premier League predictions. Specs, I know you've got to shoot, my bro. Thank you so much for coming on, bruv. I really appreciate it, mate. And where can people follow you, man?
Yeah, man. Geordie Dread TV, man. I do live watch-alongs, all football. Geordie Dread TV. People are pushing me to start doing my own what we're doing now, basically. So I'll be doing that right now at 6 p.m. Obviously, I'll be doing that on my channel with a few of the boys, a few different fans. So yeah, Geordie Dread TV, man. if you feel free to sub, it's free. If not, it's all good. But I appreciate being here. I appreciate everyone in the chats and Dan and Potts, 2 Dans. All good, man. Appreciate it.
No, come on, man. Absolute ledge. Pleasure to
Alright.
have you, mate. Make sure you go follow Specs, and we'll see you next time, bro. Big up.
Nice one, man. Big up.
Love, man. Dan, let's get into it. Bournemouth, Manchester City. LB thinks they might drop this weekend, man. What are you telling me?
Yeah, LB obviously is way more aware of Manchester City than I am, but I just look at their team and I just still think, even with the injuries they've got, and I know it's only like 13 players really being senior players available, that team looks good enough to beat Bournemouth easily for me. So I'm going to say I think Manchester City win that probably 2-1, something along
Okay.
those lines.
I'm going to go 2-0 City. I think they'll have too much for them. Ipswich, Leicester. I'm going for a thriller. I'm going for a 3-2 Ipswich win at Portman Road. What are you telling me?
Yeah, I might throw in a 3-3 draw into that one. I feel like that's got a lot of goals in it, that fixture.
Yeah, same, bro. Same. I think it's going to be messy, but I think it will be one that they definitely pull through. Ipswich need a win, man. They're desperate. Absolutely desperate. Liverpool, Brighton at Anfield. I think Liverpool win this one 2-1. What are you telling me, Dan?
Yeah, I actually think Liverpool probably score 2 or 3 goals quite easy. I'll say 2-0, but I think Brighton could be there for the taking defensively against that Liverpool side.
Yeah, man. This one is interesting. Forest against West Ham. West Ham finally won a game, but it was against Ten Hag ball. Should have been 3 or 4-0 down if they could actually finish their dinner. But West Ham, they go to Forest, and the City ground's mad, and Forest are on fire. I have got Forest to win this game, and I've got Forest to win this game 3-1.
Yeah, that City ground is like one of the toughest places I've been, and the atmosphere there is a joke as well. Like, they're very loud. I've got a feeling though this game might be a bit of a snooze fest. I'm going to say 0-0 draw. I just
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think both teams have enough about them, but they might also cancel each other out and West Ham, they need results ASAP. They need something out of every game they play now, I think, for the rest of the season. Because the way they've started has just been diabolical. So yeah, I'm going to say 0-0. I'm just going to throw. I've never predicted a 0-0. I'm going to throw one out there.
Listen, I think the next one could be 0-0.
Do you know
Southampton.
what? I was just looking at that, thinking I might have gone one too early.
This is going to go one of two ways. Both teams are going to go, let's just let it rip. And although I've never seen Sean Dyche do that. So now I just think that it's just going to be a 0-0 bore snoo fest, if I'm honest. These teams are just awful, aren't they? I'm going to go 0-0, man.
Yeah, I think Southampton are trying to play the right way and obviously play that nice sort of intricate football, but it's not really working out for him. And I think it just reminds me of Burnley last year. I don't know if you think the same, but it just feels like they're trying to play nice football, but it just isn't working. I feel like they're getting closer and closer to getting a win. I might say 1-0 win to Southampton. Everton have obviously been in better form, though. I actually had them down to drop this season, but Sean Dyche is starting to get results. But yeah, I'm going to say Southampton win. They need one as well.
This one is interesting. Wolves Palace. 2 teams that need points. West Ham are struggling, but let's be real. Wolves and Palace have really been struggling. Palace finally get their win against Spurs. Wolves playing a little bit better, actually, than what is given credit for and where they are in the league. Where do you see this one going, mate?
I'm going to say 2-0. No, let's say 2-1 Palace. Gary O'Neill sacked.
You reckon? Yeah, look, I think he could get sacked if he loses.
Do you know what? Now Ten Hag's gone, I feel like once you see a manager get sacked, it just starts, other teams start looking around going, I wonder who we could get. You know, and I just start thinking that Wolves might act. It's not looking great for them. And I actually think that Palace are in as just a dangerous spot as Wolves, to be honest. I don't think Glasner's done very well this season either on the back of last season. So yeah, I'll definitely err on the side of a Palace victory out. Yeah, 1 or 2-0, something like that.
Okay. I'm going to go 2-2. I think there's goals in this game. And I think both teams are going to be nervy to try and get 3 points. And I think they'll cancel each other out. So I'm going to go 2-2. Spurs Villa is going to be a cracker, mate, if I'm honest. I think Spurs might win because they're at home. And I think it might be... I'll go 2-1 Spurs.
Yeah, I think 3-2 Villa.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be brilliant.
I think this has the makings to be the game of the weekend, to be honest with you. I
Same.
think it could be very, very good. So yeah, I just expect goals. I think
Do
both
you know what?
teams.
What am I saying? There's two managers that play the highest lines in football.
Yeah,
It's probably going to be 4-3.
it could. You know what? It wouldn't even shock you, would it? You just like you just feel like one team might nick it though. I'll be a little bit gutted if that ends in a draw.
Bro,
But actually,
Highline Ange versus Highline Emery. Like,
yeah,
come on. It's gonna be I'm gonna go Spurs still. Do you know what? I'll go Spurs 3-2 then. Let's do that. Let's go.
yeah,
I don't want this to happen, by the way. But I believe
yeah. I
Spurs
need a
will-
draw in that one.
But I believe Spurs will win it. I just think because they're at home and a bit of confidence boost from beating City, maybe. I don't know. And then that's it. We did Man United, Chelsea, both giving our predictions, and then Fulham, Brentford on Monday Night Football. Which, let's be real, people will probably not be, waiting up for. But there's
That
two
is
teams
the
that I've
deadest
actually.
derby in the
I
league.
know
Isn't
it is. But you know what? Both teams have been well respected so far this season. They're both actually
Yeah.
pushing for top half places at the moment. So at Craven Cottage, I always fancy Fulham, if I'm honest, until I bet on them and they lost to Villa. So look, I will say that this will be a better game than perhaps people are expecting it to be in terms of the scoreline. But I will go for a 2-1 win to Brentford because then Mbeumo was on fire.
Yeah, he
And
look.
Fulham
I
ain't
think
got
he
a
leaves
striker.
in Jan. I think he leaves.
He's so good, man.
He looks very good, doesn't he? I think he could definitely. I actually think he'd be a great fit for you boys.
He would.
I actually
He
think at
would.
Arsenal he'd be a very good fit. I'm going to say Fulham win that just because, why not? I always felt very sort of like Chelsea never really had any issues out in West London, and then we've got two teams just sort of backing up middle of the table, and we've been around a little bit too close to them the last couple of seasons. So yeah,
You have.
I won't be paying too much interest into that one, but it'll be a good game, I'm sure,
Come
for
on, man.
the neutral.
Listen, it's a big weekend. There's some good games this weekend, man. So we'll see how we get on. I'm hoping that my birthday doesn't get ruined. I'm praying because the good thing is this time it's on the Sunday. So if we lose, I can just get pissed and then just enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? Drown my sorrows. And if we win, I can just have a great weekend. So that's what I'm hoping anyway. Listen, Dan, always a pleasure, my bro. Shout out how people can follow you as we close, mate.
Yeah, at BDB down on all the channels, but I appreciate you having me on, mate. I feel like we always have a good chat about footy, and I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Yeah, big up, man. Absolutely. Always welcome on here, man. And yeah, likewise, as Dan said, I echo it. Enjoy your weekend, people. Get stuck into the football. Enjoy the Formula One if you're watching it. And yeah, big up to you. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. We're out of here.